Welcome to Our College, Your Voices. I'm your host, Kara Monroe. We've shared quite a few student episodes so far, and I'm really excited to bring you another one. And I want to thank one of the guests who you're going to meet in just a second, Johnny Estep. Johnny reached out to me to raise up some of the work that is being done by the STAND team, the See the Ability, Not the Disability team at our Madison campus, which is a student-led group that I'm going to let these guys talk to you about in just a second. Before we do that, let's meet our panel. So first up is Johnny Estep. Hi, Johnny.
Hi, I'd like to first thank you for having us on. It's really nice to meet you.
My pleasure.
And thank you for giving us the chance to come on and share our group and information that we have for you.
Excellent. Thank you, Johnny. Welcome.
Thank you.
Next is Andy Heisel. Hi, Andy.
Hi, nice to meet you, and glad to be here today to talk about our group and what we want to do to help students and faculty understand each other and understand people that have disabilities. They may do their work a little bit differently, but it all comes out the same, and that's the goal of our group, is to make that easier for the instructor and the student both.
Excellent. And the third member of the group, before I have the folks who are with you, is Jaden Rudd. Hi, Jaden.
Hi, nice to meet you. So like they said, I'm just glad to be here today to talk about the STAND group and what it means, and tell you all about why it's a really good group to be in.
Excellent. Very good. Welcome to the three of you. You are accompanied here by two of our staff members. So I'll ask Nina Alcorn. Hi, Nina. Would you introduce yourself, please?
I'm Nina Alcorn. I am student support and career development on the Madison campus.
Excellent. Welcome. And last but certainly not least is Barb Sigmund. Hi, Barb.
Hi. I'm really glad to accompany this group today because I think what they're doing is really important. And I am the Assistant Director of Student Life on the Madison campus, and am just really proud of this group of students.
Tell me a little bit about how STAND was formed on your campus.
Well, I'll pop in here, but Johnny had heard about how you start groups in student life, and I'll let Johnny take over this, but he came to me and asked me, was this possible? And I said, anything is possible. And then he ran with it. So, Johnny, you want to tell her how you got going?
Yeah, sure. It was my first semester at Ivy Tech, actually. I was in a class basically to kind of introduce you to college. And actually, that was with Nina. Someone came in and mentioned they were talking about different things that you can do at the college, different programs, stuff like that. And they brought up, you can form a group. And I thought, I always see special accommodations. It's everywhere. Every college has it, but that's about it. They don't really have that extra support for more than just special accommodations, but anyone that has a need, that has a challenge, whether they're visually impaired or, have a disability that we don't see naturally. And I went to Barb and I asked her about the group. She told me what I needed to do to get it started. And then I went to Nina because I done got comfortable with her. So I'm like, hey, I already know somebody, so let's go and work out. So I asked Nina she wanted to be part of the group. And of course, Nina said yes. And then I just kind of moved down the list. I went to Andy here, is one of my best friends of over 30 years. He doesn't go to Ivy Tech now, but he did once upon a time. So I thought that, telling him about it, he was very interested, and I thought he would fit in good with the group. And same with Jaden. I went to Jaden, told her about the group, and she joined up with no problem. The main thing that I was thinking when I started the group was I want to be able to help other people in any way possible. So whether they're visually impaired or whatever's going on, to have that support makes a big difference to go through college. Whether you're a new student at a young age or you're going back to college like me, here I am, 41 now, actually. I'm going to try to keep that quiet.
Be proud. Be proud about it.
I'll be proud of that 41. But, going back to college is also a challenge because you're nervous and, et cetera. So it makes a big difference to have people there that can be there. And when you have something going on, to have someone beside you and help you fight that battle or that struggle, it makes a big difference. So that's kind of what got me really wanting to do this.
Andy and Jaden, besides the fact that Johnny's just a great guy, what made you say yes when he came and asked you to join up?
Well, with me, I just like the idea because, I'd taken classes back around 2000 to 2003, and I thought, what a great idea. This is a way to make the student feel more comfortable and the instructor as well, because then they would have somebody to talk to and say, what is the best way to approach this situation with this student, or if the student had a question about how a instructor should handle a situation, they could ask us, and we would give them exactly what we've experienced. And it's such a great fit for Ivy Tech because there's campuses all over the state, and this is a great way for students with visual impairment or other impairments to take college classes in their hometown. You don't have to go to a large university to get a degree. You can go to your local campus and stay home and take classes during the week and get a really good degree and a good job.
And, not to jump in, but the great thing about technology is with this group, the student can be at any IB Tech and be a part of it.
That's right.
We have the technology now. We don't have to worry about transportation to get them to a meeting. We can do it right over the computer, so.
Do video conferencing.
I think any student that finds out about a group like this, and I think it's going to make a huge difference. It's going to help them, and they're going to realize that I'm not doing this alone. I'm not the only one going through it. So, not to interrupt Andy here.
No, you're
Go ahead.
absolutely right.
It's something you should be able to look back on and really be proud of what you did. And, I know as having a disability or just having challenges, it's not easy having fun when you feel like you've got the whole world on your shoulders. So I'm going to let them discuss some of the other stuff we've done as well. But
Well, I became a member because I love helping people in whatever way I can and always wanted to make a difference in some way. And with myself being visually impaired, I thought, why not try to help others in any way, shape, or form I can.
So what are some of the things, I know, Johnny, as you were proposing this episode to us, you talked a little bit about some of the things you've done on the Madison campus as a group. What are some of those things? Can you guys tell me about some of those activities?
yeah, absolutely. I believe the first thing that we did was a panel discussion. And so we got to sit in front of the other instructors and got to explain to them kind of how we do things and, what we need to be able to get through our classes because and every person's different. So, Andy got to, speak on it. Jaden got to speak on it. And the instructors got to ask questions. We even had another person there.
She had PTSD, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so we wanted to, to show people that anything doesn't matter whatever
It doesn't matter the
It can even just
disability.
be, even if it's not a legal disability across on paper, if you have a challenge, we want to help you. College is supposed to be fun. And I get it, homework's no fun, but naturally, college should be fun. It's something you should be able to look back on and really be proud of what you did. And, I know as having a disability or just having challenges, it's not easy having fun when you feel like you've got the whole world on your shoulders. So I'm going to let them discuss some of the other stuff we've done as well.
So piggybacking on what you said, Johnny, I know what stood out for me in that panel that day was when you talked about your screen reader and how you use your screen reader to do research for a paper and how that looks different from a sighted person doing research for a paper. So, things like that were very helpful for faculty to hear and be able to ask questions about in that environment.
They were really interested. Like, it wasn't, sometimes you do stuff like that and you can tell when the crowd's really like with you or, just there,
Right.
They were really into it.
Yeah, they
asking
asked a lot of
questions.
really good questions.
And when we would go to answer, you didn't hear one whisper in the room.
Nope.
It was like, I thought, wow, this is the most important I've ever been in my whole life. This is pretty good, but it was just a point that I think that they were just as concerned and interested in what, how we do things, because it is important. And at the same time, it's important that they understand us, and it's got to be a 50-50
we have to
thing.
understand them too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
I mean, it is a two-way street.
I think it's good to have them kind of panels, because you're bringing together the sighted community and not just the visually impaired, but that's just a piece of it. And then you've got all the other things that we support too. So we're able to bring people closer together.
Mhm.
And I think that's important, to bring instructors and faculty, whoever it might be, to understand that student there. They're just like us, but they just do things a little different.
You can even take it a step further. Like, you look at visually impaired kids in high school, they can look at this group and say, you know what? There's somebody I can talk to. There's a way I can move up once I get out of high school. And this is, to the kids at Indiana School for the Blind or regular public school.
Yeah.
There are options out there once you get out of school. And Ivy Tech is definitely one of them.
And then Jaden, talk about some stuff we've done so far as well.
So as Johnny said, we've done other stuff besides the panel. About once a month, the first Tuesday, we at least try to have a meeting and see about recruiting new members and other people that might want to join this and help make a difference.
So, of course, as an Ivy Tech group, they have to have so many student members to continue. And so that's kind of been the focus more recently, is trying to recruit more members. So, yeah, we've done a lot of invitations to meetings.
And I'm the one that's here to keep them on track most of the time and keep reminding them that they have to have their advisor, which they have Nina, but they have to have 5 active members, to be a group. But something I want to give this group kudos about is it started with that panel with the faculty and staff, but I've actually seen changes that maybe no one else has. Even with our faculty and our staff, when they put out signage now, they actually pay attention to where they're putting the sign holders. Are they in the way for, say, Johnny or Jaden or somebody coming in? Where before they did the panel, it was never a thought. It was never a concern. So, I mean, that's just one positive that I know is, you're able to see. But I think there's a lot of others that we don't see. I think with our faculty, looking a little closer into some of the students and seeing if there's a way they can teach differently with students. So this group is having, and I don't mean to sound like a pun or something, but there's things going on that they don't see, that they have had an impact on our campus culture that really needed to happen. And it was done in such a simple way, just putting themselves out there to talk and meet with other people.
Absolutely. I will, I assume they're a group in Ivy Life. You're a group in Ivy Life. Is that right? Do you have an Ivy Life
yes,
location?
Yes, they have an Ivy Life portal.
Johnny, you talked about, and all of you talked a little about, you don't have to be at the Madison campus to join.
No.
So what does somebody who wants to get more involved, whether you're a student or a staff or a faculty member, what do they do to get more involved?
I put out regular postings and I do that in such a way that any Ivy Tech students can search it. If they are interested, I would encourage them to contact their student life officer on their campus to put them in touch with either me or Nina, or guide them in through the Ivy Life portals in order to find their group on the Madison campus. They could do a search in the overall organizations and find it and look for STAND.
Right.
But if they go in there, and we know technology, sometimes they can't always get in where they need to, that they can always go to their student life officer, and their student life officer can put them in touch with me. And then I will, in turn, put them in touch with the group.
And, I just want to be, clear about something else too, is that you can join this group to help out too.
Mhm.
We want it to be where when someone joins, number one, the main thing to me is that they feel comfortable. Like today we came to do the recording.
Mhm.
If there was someone else, that joined to help out, then they could have even came just to be that extra hand to help guide those of us that needed help,
Mhm.
stuff like that too. I just want to be clear that we make it available for anyone, really.
We welcome all.
It was actually started as a visually impaired, but also as an ally group. That those of us that love and care for folks that just don't see as well as we do. It's for any of us that care.
That's a perfect segue to the next question I want to ask you, which is, as students at Ivy Tech, what are some things that those of us who want to be better allies, what are some things we can do? Joining STAND is one option. What are some other things that would have been beneficial to you if more people knew them?
I think the main thing is just trying to notice that when you notice, whether it's someone that either is in a wheelchair or someone that's visually impaired, is because it's a case by case type of situation, I think. And we learn as we go, right? Because like with signs, that I've noticed that because they used to put them right there when you walk in, they would have signs.
Yeah.
I no longer see signs anywhere. I'm no longer the cane smacking a sign at all. Like I'm like, man, they never put signs up or what?
We just put them in other places.
They just put them in other places. But I think just being, just trying to be aware, I think is important, is to just always, try to just pay attention to the students the best you can. Because you guys aren't going to know everything unless we gotta make sure people know as well.
I think
Right.
another key thing too for the instructors, don't be scared to ask. If you want to know something, ask the student.
Yeah.
More than likely, they're going to answer you.
When I first started, I had Nina as my instructor, and I think it went really good. But I was, again, case by case, because I was communicative. I wasn't scared to speak with her, and I think she did really good too. Like in the past, I've seen people where they just have no idea what to do. Nina did really good because, I take stuff in PDF.
Mm-hmm.
So, there was only a couple of times and she would put it on my desk to print out, but she would also email it. Right. But we work together good. And I think it's got to be 50-50. It just has to be.
Communication is key on both ends of it.
Yeah.
What have you seen the impact of STAND be, and what do you hope the long-term impact of STAND is at Ivy Tech?
I've done a lot of research, a lot of extended research about the kind of group that we have here today. And I believe I really feel in my heart this is a life changer. You don't see this kind of thing at every college. You don't see groups coming together. I couldn't find anything. If someone does ever find it, please let me know, because we can also reach out to other groups, later on and work
they may
together.
be doing something that we hadn't thought of, or we may have thought of something that they hadn't thought of.
And yeah.
Always open to suggestions.
And, if there's other groups out there, eventually we would like to connect with them and help each other out. But I think it says, as Andy said here earlier, I think it says a lot for Ivy Tech too, because Ivy Tech, you guys have recognized us like no other. It's been a really awesome experience for me. And I think even for Andy, even though he's someone that used to go here, I think everybody's really enjoyed it so far. And it says a lot for the school. Some places just don't notice disabilities and stuff like that. But when Ivy Tech knew we was doing this, we had support 100%. And that says a lot, I think.
What have you seen the impact of Stand be, and what do you hope the long-term impact of Stand is at Ivy Tech?
The long term, I hope that
That educate to the faculty, to
Yes.
the instructors.
Mhm.
This is going to be very educative to them
Good.
because they're going to learn. And I don't want to sound like everybody tries to cheat, but let's say that, now that the instructor knows how a blind student can do their work, later on, they don't got to worry about a blind student coming in and using it as an excuse. Like the instructor will know, like, okay, no, I know you can do this.
yeah, they
because
will be
Johnny
more
did this
comfortable.
last week, right? So educating, I think it's going to be a big factor.
Yes, education is probably one of the number one things with this group. Educating staff, older staff, new students. I mean, there's always going to be changes, and that education process will never stop.
And I think the more people know about it, the more that it will also encourage other people that do have challenges to go to college. Because, I've got a friend that lives in Tennessee and she's scared to death to go to college because she has a learning disability. And I said, that should not be a reason to not go to college. Like, if she was here, I'd be like, hey, come to Ivy Tech, we'll help
That's right.
you out, but that's, the whole goal is just to educate and to help others and to help the students to be successful. And the nice thing is even after you graduate, you can still be a part of the group.
Jaden, did you want to add to that?
I just hope to see, after all of this educating and informing others, that it continues to go on, and that maybe eventually someday staff members will be able to inform each other, like, hey, this is how a blind or visually impaired student would use this, and maybe even give them a little heads up on, hey, if a student does this or whatever, they're lying and saying they can't do an assignment because they don't want to. I just think that would be helpful to all.
I agree. And I think that, because like Ivy Tech has the whole thing, where, Nina, you have to help me here, what it's called for jobs. You help them with jobs and stuff.
Career development.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
career development was, for example, Nina obviously she does, but if it was someone else, understanding that is going to help them also be more communicative to the jobs they're looking for too, because
Right.
now they know this student has these type of challenges. So that job's not going to work. This job
Right.
will.
Right.
So it really helps more than what we think about it. It helps with careers as far as finding jobs, and it helps with the education of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think all the way around.
I'd just like to add one thing in that I think this group can help promote. And Johnny actually is also a graduate of our Student Leadership Academy.
Excellent.
I think with the word getting out that this group exists and the things that they're trying to do will hopefully show other students like them with disabilities or with challenges realize that they don't just have to come and take a class and go home. They can participate in student government. They can participate in Student Leadership Academy. They can start their own organization. Hopefully, by these students stepping up now, they're going to help empower those future students that we're going to have. And so that's what I hope to see for the future with it.
I agree with her 100%. When I first started college, I won't kid you, I was nervous. Going back, like I said, going back to school at 40 years old, that not really just because it was 40, but just going back. I'd been out of school for a very long time. And so I've got my disability on top of it. And because of faculty being understanding and supportive, it was way less stressful. It wasn't as stressful as what I thought, because when I had a problem, they was like, okay, no worry, we'll fix it. Not a big deal. So this can be a really motivator for other people. Like Barb said, if you want to create a group, do it. It's all about what you believe and being motivational and going for the things that make you happy.
Well, we end every episode with a call to action. So I've heard several in today's episode. So 2 I'm going to leave everybody with. First is if you have an interest in connecting with the STAND group on the Madison campus, feel free to do that. You can connect with your student life director on your campus, and they can help you get connected with the Madison campus STAND group. The other one, I'm going to add on to what Nina talked about with the panel. I've had the opportunity to see a student do research with a screen reader, and it's incredible. And so whether we figure out a way to, I don't know how we do that with the podcast to figure out how to bring that to more people, but I think to really understand, you've got to see it and you've got to hear about it. So we'll see if we can figure out another way to bring that to our college community as a whole. And other conversations like this, if you want to reach out and start to share those ideas for other conversations like this, like Johnny and Andy and Jaden did today, that would be great. Thank you for joining this episode of Our College, Your Voices. I want to again thank the members of today's panel, Johnny Eastep, Andy Heisel, Jaden Rudd, Nina Alcorn, and Barb Sigmund. And they are members of STAND, See the Ability, Not the Disability, as well as the staff advisor and student life folks from the Madison campus. I want to thank all of them today. I'm your host, Kara Monroe. You can connect with me on Twitter at KNM Tweets. Our producer is Ann Penny Valentine. Ann is on Twitter at Indy Penny. You can reach us by email at ourcollegeyourvoices@ivytech.edu. That's exactly how these guys reached out in order to get started putting a show together. So we encourage others to do that as well. Leave us a voicemail at 317-572-5049. That's another excellent way to either interact with us about ways that you've responded to the call to action or to bring us show ideas. Again, that number is 317-572-5049. Our website is ivytech.edu/podcast. Production assistance for this and every episode is provided by Becky Campbell, Sarah DeWitt, and the Ivy Tech Community College marketing team. Our podcast concept is by Matthew Pittman. Theme music, recording, and post-production services, as always, provided by the incredible Jen Eads at the Brassy Broadcasting Company. We will see you next time on Our College, Your Voices.